See how many you can get. Yeah. All right, can I get someone to give me a quantity, please? Anne. Is grams the quantity or is grams the unit?
Oh, quantity.
Volume. Okay, so quantity, volume. Can I get a unit that relates to volume? Yes. Liters or milliliters? Maya, did you have another one?
Oh, seconds?
Seconds. Is seconds a quantity or is seconds a unit? So if units, you write the number followed by the unit. So for example, you might have 43, milliliters. Okay, so there's our number and there's our unit. And what we will do is we will say our quantity, volume, is equal to a certain number of milliliters, the unit. So that's how those work. So do you think that gram is the quantity or is gram the unit? It's the unit, yeah. So you might say, if we have grams, can anyone tell me the quantity that goes along with grams? Mass. So we might say that mass is equal to 1.83 grams. That would be a totally good thing. Yes. Sorry? Distance, yes. Is distance a quantity or a unit? It is a quantity. So we have distance. Could someone give me the unit for distance or a unit for distance, Rehan? Meters, yes. And the abbreviation for meters obviously is M. Yes? Force. Is force a quantity or is force a unit? Force is a quantity. And the unit? That's newtons, yes. And the abbreviation for that is N. So we might say that the force is equal to 10 newtons. Okay. Any others that we've got? Yes, Borna. Sorry? Temperature. Aaron? Time. What is the unit for temperature? Yes. Actually, not Celsius degrees, but rather the other way around, degrees Celsius. Time. Unit for time. Seconds. Now, the reason that we're doing this today is that a lot of physics deals with writing formulas, okay? Not chemical formulas, but these are like equations where you use the quantity symbols in the equation. So if you remember, volume is V, mass is M, distance is D, force is F, temperature is capital T, and time is little t. When we write a formula, and you don't have to write this down, but you're welcome to if you want to, a formula in physics, which electricity is a part of, is an equation relating different variables. Actually, relating different quantities. And don't worry, if you would like a printout of this, I can certainly make one, okay? There are probably some of these formulas that you already know. I am wondering if you know a formula for speed. Yes, it is the distance divided by the time. You'll notice that we used the quantity, and the quantity. What we did not do is we did not say meters per second is equal to meters over seconds. We don't use unit when we write a formula, okay? Very often people want to write kilograms equals 10 kilograms, right? And it's like, well, mass equals 10 kilograms. So I'm going to be pointing out the difference to you as we go through this between the unit and the quantity. Okay, so we're going to spend a lot of time being, what do we write? Do we write the unit or do we write the quantity? What is the unit? What is the quantity? Okay. Okay. And now we are going to turn in our book onto page 25, page 25 in your new electricity book. Is there anyone who did not get a new electricity book? Is there anyone who did not get a purple sheet? Everyone got a purple sheet? You will want your new blue book and your purple sheet out. New blue book, purple sheet, new blue book, purple sheet, new blue book, purple sheet. You may, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, page 25, 6.2a. $25, 25. Now you'll notice there is a video here. It is not an exciting video. It's just me teaching this lesson like 2 years ago. I threw it up here in case someone was away and they wanted to like watch the video to get caught up if they were absent. Okay. And I got really wound up about the quantity, the symbol for the quantity, the unit, and the abbreviation for the unit. Okay, so our quantity, as you guys told me earlier, would be distance. And the unit would be meters. Okay, and if we make the symbol for the quantity, that's going to be distance. And the abbreviation for the unit is M. Okay, and you guys told me already about that one today. Yay. And then we had time. We already talked about time, where we have our quantity is the time. By the way, if any of you want highlighters, there are a bunch of them at the back there. And it's measured in seconds. So our unit is seconds. And from there, we're going to go and we are going to write a formula. Now, I know that we just called it speed, but the real actual scientific term that we use often instead of speed is velocity. So speed is the same as velocity. It's not quite the same. Your physics teacher, if you take physics, will tell you the difference, but for grade 9, they mean the same. And the reason I'm choosing velocity rather than speed is because velocity abbreviates to V, which is not confusable with anything else in here, whereas speed would abbreviate to S, and that would give us like, might be confused with seconds, you know? So that's why we're going with velocity. So remember, is velocity a quantity or is velocity a unit? It is a quantity. Distance, quantity or unit? Quantity. And time is a quantity. I'm just going to start writing Q because it's getting long, okay? So we have a quantity. Actually, I'll write quant because Q is going to mean something later on in electricity. Quantity, quantity, quantity. Now, you may have noticed on your purple sheet, there are bears. So if you have your purple sheet, you can get that out. Okay. And you can just kind of have it beside you so we can refer to it if we need to. But you'll notice that on the first page of your quick reference sheet, we have this guess CUBS method. Okay, guess CUBS. This is my mnemonic device, my memory device to help you remember the steps that you need to do to get full credit on a physics or chemistry word problem where you're using a formula. Okay? So we are going to, we use this to get full marks. Now, you can have this purple sheet in front of you during any quiz or test that we write. So if you're like, I think I'm going to forget this method, it's okay, you will have the sheet right in front of you, okay? So the first letter of guess CUBS is G. Okay, we got a G, and G stands for the given. In other words, what information is given in the question? So what we need to do is we need to look in the question and we look for the given information. Tell your partner what you think some given information is in the question.
I was hungry.
And if you have any trouble finding the given information, look for the numbers, okay? So you're going to look for 20. Oh, there's a number. And it's not just 20, it is 20 meters, which we could abbreviate as 20.0 meters, okay? Is there another given quantity in the question? Seconds, 5 seconds, and we could rewrite that as 5.0, use the abbreviation for seconds, because writing out the whole unit every time is a little bit tedious, okay? Now, when we write down our given over on the side here, we're gonna show that little step. What we're going to do is we are going to write, I'm going to leave a blank here, and then we're going to write equals 20.0 meters. And I'm going to draw another blank, and then equals 5.0 seconds. Now over here, we have our number, right? Here's our number. And then what's this part here? The M and the S, the meters and the seconds. What are those? Are those quantities or units? Those are units. So what do you think we're going to put over here? The quantity. What is the quantity that we are using when we're saying this quantity equals 20 meters? Distance, D. Okay, I'm just going to use D because we should know at this point that D means distance. What quantity are we measuring if it is 5.0 seconds? Time, which is that an uppercase T or a lowercase t? Lowercase t. Okay, so there we go. We have distance and we have time. So we have our quantity, we have our number, we have our unit. That's how you're going to write down every given is quantity equals number unit. Okay? Now we're going to do a similar thing for our unknown. And our unknown, you have to go to the question and say, what's the question asking me for? So go into your question. And what is it asking for? It is indeed asking for the velocity. And that is our U in guess. Okay, so U stands for unknown. So what we're going to do is we are going to write over here, my unknown is velocity, that's my quantity, equals, do I know the number? No, so I'm just going to put a question mark because I don't know the number. And if you know the unit, you can write in the unit. But if you don't know the unit, you can leave it blank, okay, because it is unknown. Do you guys know the unit for velocity? Anyone? And that's okay, you can leave the unit blank if you need to, okay? So we can just say, my quantity is something, and I don't know what it is yet. I will figure out the units when I get there, okay? The units will become apparent. So we have G, and then we have U, and then the next letter in guess is an E. Now, often, why is this so big now? Get rid of it? No. Hang on. There we go. Okay. I would use F for formula, but F doesn't go well in the middle of words. So I used E for equation, which is really referring to the formula, the physics formula. So the equation And we'll do the equation using quantity, quantity, quantity. Okay? So we want an equation. In this case, we want an equation for velocity, because that's our unknown. Look around your page and tell me, can you see a formula or an equation that will let you find velocity? Oh, yes. Yes, we have velocity equals distance divided by time. I'm going to choose to write it the simplified way with the symbols, so I don't have to write so much writing. Okay. So we have the equation is V equals distance, velocity equals distance over time. And I want you to notice that such weird little lines it makes all the time. That is a quantity. That is a quantity. It's not a unit. And that is a quantity, because we are using the quantity symbols. And you know what? For this question, I'm going to give you a mark for every single one of these things. So if all you do is write D equals 20.0 meters, T equals 5.0 seconds, V equals question mark, V equals D over T, you have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. And you don't need to know what to do with the numbers, and you've still gotten 4 marks. Okay, but it's going to be pretty easy to figure out what to do with the numbers. So you'll probably get full marks. Okay. We had G, U, E. Now we are on to S, which is solve the equation for the unknown quantity. That means that and we're going to look at solving the equation later, but solving means we get the unknown at the top by itself on the left. So in our equation, we want the unknown quantity to be at the top, so not in the denominator. We want it to be by itself, like no other variables on that side of the equation, and we want it to be on the left. So it should be at the top by itself and on the left. Question. In our formula, is V, velocity, the unknown, at the top by itself and on the left in that formula?
Yes.
Yes, because if we look at it, here it is. Is there any other variable on that side? No, it is by itself. Is it on the left?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And is it in the denominator? No, so that means it is on the top. So that's what we mean by solve. So in this case, this is already done, so we don't need to do it, okay? So solve is already done. So we have G, we have U, we have E, we have S, and guess has 2 S's at the end, and the second S stands for substitute. And what are we going to be substituting? We are going to be substituting the given information into the formula, but we're going to make sure that because this is science and not math, we are going to include the units. So I'm just going to write SUB for substitute because it's too long to write the whole thing. So we're going to substitute. And I'm just going to write in really small here. So if you can write really small, we've got V is equal to D over T. So I have then, little arrow there, V is equal to, and I'm going to plug in, substitute in, instead of D, I'm going to substitute something for D. What could I substitute for D? I could substitute 20 meters. Yes? .0 meters. That one's pretty. Let's try that one. Okay. Oh, hang on. Draw. I want. Let's go to. Actually, let's go to that one. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a highlighter. Oh dear. Okay, I'm not going to get too fancy with the colors. Okay, I'm trying to get fancy and I'm just making a mess and taking too much time. So we're going to go back to just saying, if I have time, what am I going to substitute for time? I'm going to substitute 5.0 seconds. So that's our substitute. So, given, unknown, equation, solve, substitute, guess. How many marks would you get for that? 5 marks. Actually, 6 marks because there's 2 givens. Do the calculation. That means take out your calculator or do it in your head if you can. In this case, you probably can do it in your head. You are going to take 20 and you're going to divide it by 5. So that's doing the calculation. So this is where CUBS comes in. So now we're at C. So we now have V is equal to, what's 20 divided by 5? 4. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And we have, let's take a look at what our units are. We have on the top, what unit do we have on the top? We have meters on the top, and we have what on the bottom? Seconds on the bottom. So our unit is going to be meters per second. Okay? Now, your final answer, this is where we get to the U part of CUBS. So we've done the calculation. In the final answer, we need to make sure we have our units. This is just to remind you because sometimes people get to the end and they forget to put the units in. Okay, so don't forget to put in the units. And finally, what we're going to do is we're also going to put a box around our answer. Because if you're kind to the person who is marking your work, you want to say, here's my answer. Look at it. Here it is. So we're going to box our answer. So we have C for calculate, U for units, B for box, and then why is it CUBS? Because you are either going to stop at a reasonable number of digits. That's between, actually I should say between 1 and 4, because this one looks pretty reasonable with 1 digit, doesn't it? But you know, sometimes your calculator will spit out things like, for example, what if your calculator said 4.326158897? Let's just say that's what your calculator said. Should you write down that entire number? Or will that drive us all crazy? That will drive us all crazy, okay? So for grade 9, you would say, I am going to keep somewhere between, I'm going to stop at a reasonable number of digits, somewhere between 2 and 4, although it could be 1 if you just get a perfect answer. Like if you get a perfect answer like 4, just go with 4, okay? But if you get something like this, you're going to say, I'm going to stop somewhere between 2 and 4 digits. So it's up to you. 3 is always a good number, but 2 is also fine. I would kind of go with 2 to 3, but if you want to do 4, you can do 4. Okay? Up to you. Stop at a reasonable number of digits. So instead of writing 4.326, I might just choose to write 4.3 meters per second. And you can also change your meters per second into meters over second to meters slash seconds if you wish. Okay. Now, if you are interested in doing the enriched stuff, okay, here is how enriched is going to work. You will give the, and if you're not, you can just like tune out for a moment, okay? But the enriched is to give your answer to the correct significant figures instead of just stopping. So that S still works. It could stand for sig figs. And basically, because we are only multiplying or dividing, we take the sig figs in the given quantities, and our answer must be to the same number of digits as the smallest sig figs in the given quantities. And if you're interested in learning more about that, tomorrow I will have an enriched little booklet that will lay that out a little bit in a little bit more detail and allow you to do some practice on it. But for today, I'm just going to quickly write down a summary, which is that for sig figs, the sig figs of the answer should equal the smallest number of sig figs in the given data. There's a different rule for adding and subtracting, but we won't be doing that this year, so you don't need to learn that rule. Leave that for grade 11. So if you were doing significant figures for this question, you would say, my given is 20.0 meters. That has 3 sig figs. My other given is 5.0. Is it 5.0? 5.0 seconds. How many sig figs in that? 2 sig figs. So my answer has to be the smallest number of sig figs. Oh, pen went crazy. So my answer has to be the smallest number of 3 sig figs. Is that 3 or is that 2? It is 2 sig figs. And therefore your answer would still be 4.3 meters per second if we had like a long digits. And if we just had 4, if our answer was just 4, how could you write 4 with 2 sig figs? You could write 4.0 meters per second. Okay, so for example, and for example. Okay. But if you're not interested in doing that, you can just ignore what I said for that last little bit. Okay? And just be like, I don't care. I don't care about sig figs. Okay, now I'm going to, what am I going to do here? Oh, I'm going to go over here. And you guys are going to see if you can remember what each of these letters stands for. It's okay if you don't, because you can always look at it. But see if you can remember what each of the letters stands for. And if you get stuck, don't feel bad. You can look at your purple sheet. It's all on your purple sheet. Okay? What does G stand for? Given. What does U stand for? Unknown. Oh, the first one, because we're going down the list. And then what does E stand for? Equation, which is the formula. And then the first S is for solve. And then the second S is for substitute. And then the C is for calculate. And the second U is for units. And then the B is for box your final answer. And the final S is for stop or sig figs, depending on what you want to do. And this we can use for any problem that we want to. Shall we do one more example? Or would you like to just try some stuff on your own? You want to try some stuff on your own? Would anyone like another example? No? Okay. So there is another example if you want to read through it here. You can definitely do that, but there's a couple examples. You could just try the exercises. Now, I just put this in here. This is on page 29, page 29. And I put this in here by way of having an explanation as to why I am making you write out all this stuff when some of you can just look at the question, do it in your head, and put the answer on the paper. And the reason is that in grade 9, you're working with 1 equation, 3 variables, 1 unknown. Okay, it's going to be really easy for some of you. If you're good at math, it'll just be really easy. But what if you get to university and it doesn't look like V equals D over T? What if it looks like this? Ah! Yes, that's what those things make me do. They go, ah. But if I know I can write down all my givens and I can write down my unknowns and I have an equation, let's just say like this, I can then solve for that variable. I can substitute these numbers, which I found from other places, and I can calculate my final answer and give it to with units. Okay, and then I would put a box around it and give it to correct sig figs. So crazy as that looks, by using that method, you can actually get through it without being terrified. Yeah, because there will be information given in the question. You'll be given an unknown. You'll have an equation. You substitute and you solve. It'll just be bigger. But for grade 9, it's only going to be 3 variables with 1 unknown. Okay? So you don't have to worry about this. You just have to worry about this. So try this out here. Now, if you feel that your time today would be better spent for your last 20 minutes doing review for your test on Wednesday, that is an option that you can take. What day is today? Tuesday? Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Get pushed back to
Your test is tomorrow.
Get pushed back to Thursday.
No. Pardon me? If anybody needs another day, you can come right in Friday during class. Does that sound okay? So if anyone's like, I am not going to be ready for tomorrow for this test, then you can do it Friday during class. And if that doesn't work for you, then you come talk to me individually and I can make some other arrangements. I can hear you. It's all good, no worries. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Let me just put my pen away so it's further. And does anyone need review package or anything?
Here you go.
No? Okay.